Hey, I be rolling off a beat. Bitches coming, yeah, they coming overseas. I be coolin' with the squad, I be cooking with the team. Yeah, we living out the life, yeah, we living out the dream.
Welcome to Let's Talk About It. The reason why I started this podcast was basically because um, I wanted to give a lot of people a voice. I wanted to give people the opportunity to share what they're doing in life. A lot of people you see on the TV and things like that. You see a whole bunch of celebrities. They're the only ones getting interviewed, and they're the only ones giving their perspective and things like that on things. So I wanted to make this Let's Talk About It more of a about the people that I'm around and the people that I experienced in my life, and just people on their way up and experiencing different things in their life in the business world, and different with doctors and mental health and things like that. Just the current events that's happening now. It's just an awesome thing that I feel like people have a lot of knowledge on, and I want to give it to the world that are less fortunate.
That's awesome, man. I'm proud of you, man. I'm excited to be
Thank
on
you.
it, man. I've been following some of the other interviews you had, man. You're doing a good job. Obviously, we lived on the same street, you know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
yeah, man, I'm loving what you're doing, man. I'm glad to be a part of it.
Thank you. And to just get back on it was fortunate because you was an inspiration to me, and your father is someone that helped me. I love telling these people this story about how one day your dad was coming down the street, and I was playing football by myself. I was about probably like 6, 7 years old, and I was really throwing the ball, jumping off the stairs. And your dad stopped. He was like, "What's up, kid?" I didn't know who he was. I was young, and then I was like, "Hey, what's up?" He was like, "You're pretty tough jumping up the stairs like that and stuff like that."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "You play these sports?" And I was like, "No, it's hard for my family to afford it. It was expensive to play, the junior Boilermakers at that time."
Yeah.
He was like, "No problem. Let me talk to your parents." And next thing you know, he paid for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I was able to play, and that changed my life. That changed my life. I was grown to love football, and I thanks to your father for giving me that opportunity, and you inspired me and things like that.
Oh, absolutely. The same thing he did to you. I got daily motivation, you know what I'm saying, all the time with
Yeah,
him, different things. And just even thinking back, you mentioned that. One of the things I always remember with him was the fact that, so we would go hoop right at the high school, right, the courts right
yeah,
there.
yeah,
And I was probably 9, 10 years old, something like that. Not a lot of game, nothing, just out there, just happy to be there. And so my dad at the time, he's 24 years older than me, so he was probably my age right now. So he can
yeah.
still move around, he can still shoot. I don't want to say he can dunk, but he can.
He got the
Get
hops.
around the rim, yeah. It might be a nice little, reverse layup or something. He ain't gonna throw it down on it, but he would have first pick, and I would
Yeah,
be like 10 years old, 11 years old, and he'd be like, heck, and I wouldn't have got picked until the very end, if at
yeah,
all, So he wouldn't have to pick me until the last pick, but all the time, I got Miles first pick,
yeah,
with when I was 10 years old. Meanwhile, I got to go against 25, 30-year-old men, So it was one of those
yeah,
things that I always remember that I didn't think much of at the time, but when you look back at different times that people believed in you, or like for instance with the junior Boilermaker that you were mentioning, when you look
yeah,
back at small times in your life, you can kind of think of those moments where someone kind of gave you an extra shove that you didn't even think about at the time.
yeah,
But looking back, you're like, wow, that really kind of propelled me into doing some things. So I'm
yeah,
glad that story, I've heard it similar from my dad, but never from you. And
yeah.
that actually makes my day, the fact that you told that story.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. So now, like to transition on to you and your career, I definitely followed your career a lot. 2006, you were signed to the Dallas Cowboys. You weren't drafted, but you were a free agent and signed. How did you feel about not being drafted but still getting signed as a free agent?
Uh, Honestly, I was pretty disappointed, I guess would be the word. I was a little embarrassed. because I felt like, you know, fortunately I was able to go to the combine. I thought I tested relatively well. But at the time, I feel like there was such a stigma against smaller school guys, because I didn't go against the competition of, you know, Michigan or somewhere else. But in my opinion, I thought I was going to be drafted somewhere in like the, you know, later rounds. And, you know, when those rounds came about, when the fifth round comes, you know, I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like waiting, you know what I'm saying? I'm there, I'm like, okay. And then boom, that's got sixth round. Then finally the seventh round comes and goes. And Bill Parcells, thankfully, gave me a call. A lot of other teams called me, because a lot of teams, probably 12 teams, wanted me in for the camp. They just didn't want to use the pick, you know. And so I go in, and he basically says, hey, I'm going to give you a chance to play special teams if you feel like doing that. You know, if you're going to give your all on special teams, then, you know, you have a real good chance of making a team. You know, I'll give you like a real chance. And that's kind of what I did. I went in, and I'm not going to lie, immediately when I got in, I was like, I thought it was going to be easier than it was.
Yeah.
And getting in, you realize, like, man, I'm going against like real players, you know, that are good and skilled and have been doing it for a long time and are just as fast and just as athletic. And it was. I remember we would do one-on-one drills, and I would be like, damn, like I don't even want to.
I don't even want to. Yo, that's a bit of line right now.
Embarrass myself. I don't want to get hemmed up at the line, and it took a while for me to like develop a little bit of confidence with that. And one of the days that gave me that confidence was, I don't know who was across from me. It was one of our starting corners though, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna like line up in my stance, and I'm just gonna fire off the ball, throw two hands right in his chest, and just go. Yeah, I'm just gonna go. Yeah. You know. So boom, I just come off the ball, boom, I put two hands in his chest, he like backs up, I, you know, make a little move, catch the ball and go. And then that was one of those moments where I was like, okay, like I just gotta be more aggressive doing this. I just gotta, you know, so it took me years, you know, 2-3 years to like really work my ass off in scout team, and to really develop, you know, the top of routes and releases and all those things. But we had great veteran leadership. Tony actually was great in my development. Romo, Jason Witten, T.O. was great. When I got there my first year, just how hard he worked. And it was his 13th, 12th year in the league. I don't know what year it was for him, but he was obviously a star. And just like seeing him after practice, running gassers and running sprints, even if I didn't want to, even if I was like, man, I'm tired, I want to go inside the locker room, the AC, you know, he would be out there, and I'd be like, now I got to go out there, you know. But it made me go out there, and it made me get better and work and develop more of a work ethic. Because honestly, my work ethic was good, but I developed more of a work ethic my first couple of years in the league with those veterans.
And I can tell by looking at your stats that you've gotten better, because in 2009, that was your first Pro Bowl year. That's the first time you was elected in the Pro Bowl. And 2010 it was your second time, and then 2010 I think you signed the contract extension for a lot of money. You got a lot of money off that contract. So I want to know, what was the first thing on your mind? Like, what's the first thing you bought when you got that contract extension? Like, wasn't it like $50 million or something? Was it?
Yeah, it was like 54, something like that. But it wasn't like they don't just give it to you like that. Yeah. But they, I didn't buy anything. Honestly, I lived in the same townhouse my second year in the league. So that was probably my fourth year in the league. I lived in the same townhouse from like my second year in the league all the way to like my 7th year in the league. So I stayed in the same place. Actually, to be honest, before that year, my lease ran out. I had like a little BMW, a 3 Series, which everyone made fun of me. But they know, like on the East Coast, the 3 Series is tight. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're like, oh, it's too small. You need like a 7 Series. It's like, nah, man. I just like this little 3. But I ended up, I got after my 3rd year, before I even started a game or anything like that, I was like, you know what, I want to get a Maserati. So I got one. I got like a gray Maserati with like the red interior. It was like, and I remember because I was not a starter, and I was like a special teams player. And I remember our special teams coach is like, fucking Miles driving around in a fucking Maserati. You're a special teams player. I'm like
let me live, coach. Let me live.
But then actually that year, like the 5th game of that year, I got the opportunity to start, had an unbelievable game, and it kind of took off from there. So it was, but I always remember like my special teams coach like looking at me crazy because I pulled up, you know, the first day of camp in a Maserati. He's like, what the hell is he doing?
Yeah, that's crazy. So do you feel like, so you must have handled your money pretty well. So because one thing that comes to mind is the Marshawn Lynch. I don't know if you've seen his last interview.
Yeah, you gotta take care of your chicken.
Take care of your chicken. So I'm like, what? All right. So as a football player, I don't know how it feels, but you're retired now. How serious is that? As him saying that to the young athletes in the NFL now?
I thought. I mean, Marshawn always. I mean, he's so authentic. That's exactly what it was. I mean, that's exactly what you got to do. Because a lot of times I've been with guys, and I was honestly too early to get that Maserati. I shouldn't have got that. To be honest with you. Like my coach was absolutely right, and like, what am I doing with that? But sorry, I'm trying to. My phone was on 5%, and I didn't want to hang up. My coach was absolutely right, but at the same time, even though I got that, that was like the only real purchase I was making at the time. But yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you get paid during the season, right? So during like off season, you don't get hardly anything. You don't get anything for training camp. You get like $1,000 a week. Like even Tom Brady gets $1,000 a week. You know, obviously he's making endorsement deals. And he might have, unless you have like a training camp bonus or like a roster bonus, unless you have some sort of like bonus in your contract, the money you're getting generally in football is 17 weeks in the season. So because of that, you get like big checks for 17 weeks and then like no checks. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So a lot of times when you're getting those checks, some of the guys, obviously those guys, if you're not thinking on the right level, you start spending that money, assuming that the next year you'll be making more money, you know what I'm saying, or similar money. And what happens is, whatever, who knows, you get hurt. Whatever, you just start getting cooked on the field, you know what I'm saying? Whatever happens, and then you don't have that next money coming in. So too often guys are already assuming the next year of their deal or the remainder of their deal is guaranteed, when in football it's not guaranteed. So it's important when you do make some money to, take care of it and prepare for the worst. And then if you make some more money, good, do the same thing. Prepare for the worst. Yeah. And just, go from there. But it's a sad deal because some people are literally taking loans out, and I don't know what this percentage is. It's probably a very small percent, but some people will take out, say you're making $3 million, whatever, $5 million the next year. Someone will take out a $2 million loan on 15% interest just to pay them back 6 months later when they start making their checks from the league. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, you're losing the 15% interest over 5 months. You know what I'm saying? And if you really just took care of your money, you would have saved that extra I don't know what 15% of $2 million is, but you know, 300 grand or so, you know.
Yeah.
So paying someone 300 grand just to give you the money that you're gonna pay them back 6 months later is a dangerous deal. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You just gotta you always gotta know what know what your budget is, know how much you're spending, know how much is coming in, and that's not only for athletes but for anybody, in my opinion.
But these guys are making so much money. Don't they have people like financial advisors, consultants telling them these things?
Yes, but no. You know what I'm saying? It's like I feel like sometimes in one, sometimes guys feel like they don't need a financial advisor. If you're only making, you in your mind, like even me in my mind, my first year, I didn't have a fund. I was like, all right, my first year it was rookie contract, was like 275 grand. I was like, I don't need a financial advisor. If I had like $1 million, $2 million, then I think I might.
Yeah.
But the sooner you get someone, whether it's an actual financial advisor or just someone who's going to just show you the ropes of finance in general and why you should invest and how you should invest, the earlier the better.
Yeah.
Even before you even start making money. Even in high school, you know what I'm saying, learning something. And that was in that book. Even though I didn't read it, I know it's like the Rich Dad Poor Dad book of just like how to invest money, because even when I grew up, I never got like lessons on finance or taxes or anything, So,
Well, definitely not in school. So
no, yeah. So it definitely is uh, something you got to be willing to learn. And at the same time, even with the financial advisors, you don't know if someone's trustworthy. You don't know if someone just wants to keep you happy so they can keep their 1.5%, 1%, or
mhm.
0.5%, whatever they are taking. So, so often it could be a shady business, but for the most part, everyone's. Um, I feel like better now than they were in the past as far
Yeah.
as money's concerned. Yeah, because you hear all the horror stories, so you don't want to be that guy.
So after you retired now, you had a a great career and stuff like that. Successful career. You became a head coach of the 49. Wait, I think you were a coach in Cowboys at the Cowboys first, like an intern coach, and then you
Yeah, I
became.
was I was scouting there for 2 years, and then actually left. Came back to. That's when we moved to Jersey. This is 2 years ago.
Okay.
And I came back here to finish my degree, which I needed like a full year. I had to go I had to take 12 credits in the summer and 19 credits in the fall.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, I was grinding. Like in the school, like showing up on campus and all that. But it was actually great because I'm a history major. Well, poli sci with a focus in history,
Yeah.
but um, the election it wasn't the elections going on. It was just like the Trump presidency was going on, all like the Russia collusion. One of my courses was on Russian history. Um, a lot of my other courses were on like the presidency, the Congress. So like I it was really interesting with everything going on because at the time, because 2020 didn't hit yet, I thought it was a crazy time in
Yeah.
2018. But I'm sure if I took those classes now, I'd be like even more blown away.
Yeah.
But it was good. Yeah, I went there. I did my whole deal, and finally got my degree, which was something I set out to do
Congratulations.
15 years ago or whatever. Thank you. Um, and then me and my family went to Disney World, and literally on the flight back, one of the coaches that I knew in Cleveland was coaching in San Francisco, and they basically said, "Hey, you want to try coaching? You want to come out here?" And that's kind of like what I did, and That's what I did all last year, and we went to the Super Bowl, which was crazy.
It was
So like
crazy,
my
huh?
last couple, and then now we got Corona. So my last 3 years
Been
were all
hectic.
over the place. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on graduating, and I feel like going back getting your grade was very, very important to you, and that's something that you set out to do. It's never, and I want to tell people it's never too late to get your career and things started because college is always going to be there. And
Hmm.
that's awesome, and with everything that's going on, I wish the best for you. To be honest, I was just happy to have you here talking to you. I'm like when I hit you up because it took you a while. I'm not gonna lie. It took. I hit you up. I'm
I'm
like,
terrible. I'm really
I'm
bad
like,
with that shit. I'm terrible with that.
he not hitting me up. So while working for the 49ers, did you get a chance to work out with Jerry Rice?
Uh, what's actually is I got a funny story with Jerry, right? So yeah, you see him. He's around a bunch. I'm trying to think of which game this was. It might have been the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl. It was one or the other. Either
Yeah,
way, but he was out there like on the field, right?
yeah,
And we're playing catch. I'm throwing to the players, but then every once in a while he'll like throw his hands up and I'll throw him a ball. And I was throwing slant routes to our receivers running into the end zone, and there was like
yeah,
fans and everything there. So I throw them a slant, and they would like whatever do a dance in the end zone, whatever. This is like pregame, like for real pregame, like we're about to
yeah,
go out to the game. And then Jerry goes, "Hey, Miles, throw me a slant." And I'm like, all right, so I don't want to like, and I'm just throwing it hard to the receivers.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like, I'm not trying to like fire one into Jerry. You know what I'm saying? Let me like
yeah,
just try to like throw something like throw a little lollipop over the top and just kind of put something where he can catch it. And I threw it a little bit behind him, and he dropped it right. And
Ooh.
I'm like, and his look at me after I threw that incomplete pass, dog.
He
I
don't
was
play.
scared.
He
I
don't.
was scared. I was
He
scared to
don't
death.
play.
He goes, "Hey, put it on me," and I'm like, "God." So now my second throw to him, I'm like, kind of scared. I'm like, I got to put this shit on him. So he runs a slant, and finally I put one on him. He caught it, or whatever, and the whole deal. But I remember we were out there, and I was like, I've never been as afraid to throw a pass than that second slant to
Yeah,
Jerry. I didn't know what speed he was running. I didn't know anything what it was going to be like.
he
So
thought it
the
was a real
first,
game.
yeah, the first one was a little off, but I connected on the second pass. But
That's what's up.
no, he's unbelievable though. Yeah, I never like worked out with him out
Yeah,
there, but just as far as like seeing him and talking to him, he's really available, and he's obviously greatest receiver of all time. So he's
wow.
a tool for that team and for all those players to somebody to listen to.
Yeah. Question number two. What does a good work ethic look like to you?
A good work ethic.
Good work ethic. Work ethic.
Good work
I got
ethic
this.
is someone who uh, enjoys working. You know what I'm saying? I think anybody could work reluctantly. You know what I'm saying? Anybody could like do it. Do the whole workout. Make sure they do every lift. But I think it speaks volumes when someone's pushing others during that same time.
Yeah,
Putting the work in, but pushing others, pushing themselves, and like really enjoying what they're doing. Because I think when someone is doing that, then other people kind of see that and they grab onto that and they gravitate towards that. And then those people start,
yeah,
some people just bring the energy like that. So to me, that's like a good work ethic to me. It's someone who
yeah,
puts in the work, but like enjoys putting in the work.
yeah. Okay, and last but not least, what should young athletes look forward to while on their path to the league? Um, yeah. So, what should they look forward to? Like, what should be the main focus?
It depends on how young you're talking, like high school or like,
Yeah, high school, college type of age.
um, to me, I think it's just staying focused on what you're doing at the moment and not like not assuming this next thing is coming, because if you don't focus on what you're doing, you're not going to get that chance.
Yeah.
So really staying focused in the moment of your team, your sport, your craft, and not already thinking about what's to come next. You know, I mean, some people, obviously, if I was a #1 high school recruit in basketball and I knew I had 1 year to go before the league, those people are in different scenario. But if you're playing football at like a regular D1 school, D1 AA, whatever, focusing in on that year, being the best player you could be, and then just handling the next part later. I wouldn't say like, all right, learn it. Because even if you said, because we were speaking about it earlier, even if you like worked on getting a financial advisor already and doing all these things, you're already like putting this way in front of what's actually happening. You're not going to get that chance if you keep focusing over there. So you have to, you got to take care of what's on your plate first and dominate on a regular basis, dominate in practice, dominate in games, and put yourself in a position to play. And then I think you can work on, learning about finance a little bit more, expanding just your overall horizons. Just so many people. There was times we go to dinner, and it was someone's first like filet mignon. You know what I'm saying, or something like that. It was someone's first. This and that, and you're gonna experience so many different things. That the best thing to do is to put yourself in that position and not necessarily worry about that until you get there.
Yeah. Well, wise words from Miles Austin. Here we go.
Not too wise.
That's going on is the COVID-19, and you have the Black Lives Matter movement and things like that. I want to briefly touch up on those things and with you as well. So with the COVID situation, how's that affecting you? What's going on with that? Being in the house, around the family.
Yeah, it's a lot different because I was in San Fran all of last year coaching, and my whole family, my wife, I got 3 kids. My wife and 3 kids were here, so I was like always away. I was away. I would come back maybe every 2 weeks whenever I could for like a day. I came home for Christmas for like 10 hours. I had to fly back. So I would be around a little bit, but not around a lot at all. So I was by myself a bunch. So once we get back here after Super Bowl, unfortunately we lost. Boom, it's COVID lockdown. So now I'm like back here. I'm in the house. Can't get out. Can't leave the house. And we got 3 kids, so we gotta like. They took them out of school. School shut down. So now we gotta like do a little bit of a school day, little projects. My wife is unbelievable at that. Like, I don't even know how she did it when I was out there. But me just being here with her and the kids, I was like, I really don't know how she did it when I was out there by myself. There's 2 of us now. And it definitely was a grind. It definitely was a grind with the kids because they're 1, 3, and 5. So, one hit the other, and then the other's screaming, and the baby.
I can't imagine.
It's all of that. So it was definitely a borderline difficult time, but at the same time, I missed them so much when I was out there that I was just glad to be back here at the house with the kids and with everybody. So it was a little bit I was kind of pulled in 2 different directions when that went down, and. Finally, they started opening up the golf course, so I'm able to get out a little bit, 3 times a week, maybe 4, for 3-4 hours and golf a little bit. So now that things are opening up, it gives us all a little bit of space. Today we went to the beach, which was nice. So now we're allowed to like go out a little bit more. It's a lot better, but it was rough, man. Sitting in the house, not being able to leave,
just eating.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so one big thing that I've been learning though about is how to of course is wearing your mask and wearing glasses, keeping you safe and things like that. As a person, as an athlete, I know you're big on healthy eating and building your immune system and things like that. So what are the things you do to build your immune system to make sure that you're healthy and not getting sick and things like that?
To be honest with you, I mean, I could front and like give you this whole spiel about how I'm eating salad,
Asparagus
you
and
know, yeah, fruit and
celery.
vegetables and stuff. Yeah, nah, I just had
No.
a double order of chicken fingers about 15 minutes ago. So that's what
Oh
I'm doing
man.
right now. You know what? What's funny is I took the antibody test because when I was in San Fran, I got sick for a little while. This is like late January, mid January, something like that. I got sick for like really bad sick for like a day and a half,
Yeah.
and my son got sick too. He was like tired and all this, and they have these antibody tests. I signed up for one. It was actually in and out real quick, and
Yeah.
I thought for sure I was at least hoping that I did have it, so that hopefully I can be at least not as susceptible to potentially getting it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they told me I didn't have it. But at the same time, I hear those tests are between 50-50 and
Yeah.
99%. So like, there's no way to really know. But I did take the antibody test, and it said I didn't ever have it. So
Yeah.
yeah, we wear masks. I don't wear gloves, but I always have like hand sanitizer. I golf with my buddies, like I said, a couple times a week, and to me, we're already so far apart. We don't wear masks there. We're already so far apart that
Mhm.
like I feel relatively safe, I guess. But
Yeah.
I always wash my hands before I go. Always wash my hands before I come back. We haven't gone to a restaurant yet. We're only ordering delivery services.
Chicken fingers and tater
Hey,
tots.
yeah. Today was a chicken finger day. That's for sure.
Okay.
That's for sure. But
Well,
yeah, that's it. That's we wear masks, but that's about it. We don't leave the house much. Obviously, it's a serious deal. You know, over 100,000 people died so far. Who knows? You know, I'm sure there's different places where cases are increasing. Here in Jersey, I think it's at least flattening out in our area or going down. But
mhm.
yeah, it's obviously a serious deal. At the same time, I always have these questions with my wife. When everyone's quarantined, how many people, and it's terrible, obviously, that anyone dies for anything, but
Yeah.
I assume less people in general, not like due to any respiratory or lung infection disease, but like car accidents or other just random deaths that occur, you would assume that those deaths went down,
Yeah. Yeah.
even though the other deaths were high. So I don't know like what that averages out to. Obviously, it's something serious, and to me, I think the fact that everyone's at least conscious of how serious it is, everyone's wearing masks, there's like limited capacity places, I think that at least would help. Because in the beginning, when it was like February, no one knew anything. You know what I'm saying? People
Yeah.
were going out
Exactly.
to the bar, talking, coughing, high fiving, doing all of that. And
Yeah. Something in my throat. Something in my throat. It's cool.
exactly. But yeah. um, so because of that, I think now at least that everyone's more alert to it, I would assume that there would naturally be less cases like, going
Yeah.
forward. I'm obviously no, uh,
Science.
medical
Yeah.
expert by any means, but I'm hoping at some point a vaccine gets created and this thing can go past us. But yeah, it's a scary time and everything feels different. Even we went to the beach today. We had like a little beach club, and you got to wear a mask going in. You got to get your temperature checked. It's like it's a
Yeah.
strange world right now, but it's the world that we're in, and like, what do you have else to do? You got to keep pushing.
Yeah. Also, one big thing is people are now losing a lot of jobs. So I know you as a as a pro athlete, you have money saved up, but for the people who never been pro before, they're struggling now. So how do you prepare yourself? And well, this time they kind of got caught off guard. But how do you prepare yourself um, for something like this to happen in the future, like financially wise?
Me individually,
Yeah, like how would you? So say if you, because there's different types. Like people are starting to invest. Properties going down. So
yeah.
how can you secure yourself in this time?
To me, obviously the market went crazy. Not in the beginning. In the beginning, it was kind of like
Yeah.
no one knew exactly how bad it was, so the market actually just kept rising. And I actually had a conversation with my financial guys, and this is like a week before all hell broke loose, and I
Yeah.
was like, man, I don't feel right about this thing. I want to like get out of the market, not necessarily completely, but I like want to de-risk, you know.
Yeah.
And they kind of like didn't take me for my word for it at the time, you know. And then next thing you know, literally, so we had a meeting on Friday. The market was good or whatever. It didn't do anything. Monday, and it was like, boom, the whole market's down 5%. The next day, the market's down another 5%. The
Yeah.
next day, I'm like, oh, man. So I actually didn't end up getting all the way out.
Yeah.
But it ended up working back. Obviously, it bounced back. And when the market kind of hit its lows, thankfully, I was able to, because it was just so volatile, I got kind of aggressive when it was like really low and bought back into some things. And thankfully, it went back up. And then at that point, about a week or two ago, I said, you know, let me de-risk a little bit more. And it actually went up for a week. But then after seeing yesterday, I felt a little bit better about it. So yeah, I mean, it's still like in no man's land, in my opinion, right now. But I'm sure
So
at
right
some
now,
point, I'm not ready to like get back in until
yeah.
I see like another bottom, and I don't see that right now.
So you said when saying right now is a good time. People should be patient.
Do I think selling right now is a good time?
Well, someone who wants to get into the market, is it a good time to get into it now or?
I wouldn't like getting into it now but I'm
Yeah.
already in it though too. So
Okay.
I feel like the best way, anytime, from what I understand about, and again, I'm not a health expert or a financial expert.
Okay. Yeah, you're good. I just want to get your aspect because you probably have people working for you, obviously. But I
Yeah,
probably was like trying to see if you have anything that may have helped.
yeah. My idea of it, whenever you do get into a market, you should tranche it, you know, every 2 weeks or month, piece by piece. Say if I want to put $100 in the market, all right, and
Yeah.
I know I want to like get $100 to work. All right, instead of just putting that $100 in tonight or tomorrow morning when the market opens, all right, you could put $10 in today, and then come next week or a week later, you could put another $10 in. You could put another $10 in. You could put so that even if the market's going down or up, you're still like priced in it.
Yeah.
You average your price in a little bit better rather than banking on and like betting on the market
Yeah.
going up from here with my
Gambling.
$100.
Yeah.
I'd rather like piecemeal it and spread it out to save myself a little bit of anxiety.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
I feel you on that one. So honestly, I think investing is a good part too. So to move on to the Black Lives Matter situation, and then it's terrible that you have that going on with the coronavirus, and everyone's feeling all these frustrations and going crazy, and you being a mixed, your heritage mixed, you have a black father and a white mother. So how do you feel about all this going on
I feel like
with the protesting and what was your initial reaction when this happened to the video?
which there's I guess there were several initial reactions.
Oh
The
yeah,
initial reaction
yeah,
was obviously seeing the George Floyd murder, in my opinion.
yeah,
That's brutal to watch. You know what I'm saying? You got people standing there telling this officer and the other officers he's with, you know, what he's doing. It seems to be hurting somebody, and you know, you might kill this guy, and da da da. And the fact that he kind of showed a little just callousness of a life is scary to think about. It's scary to think about not only him doing that, or the potential of other officers doing that. You know, I mean, it was a terrible thing to watch. You know, for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, having your knee on someone's neck, and I've never had someone knee on my neck for that long, but I've wrestled and I've had someone like hold me down in a position that I couldn't breathe. And the first thing and someone's going to tell you to resist, right? Don't resist, don't resist. Your natural reaction to stay alive is to like, you
move,
know,
yeah,
prop yourself up so you can breathe, or you know. So it's a bad thing, and I'm glad they finally are trying to like do something about like chokeholds and things like that, because to me that really has no place in detaining somebody. In my opinion, looking at it, if you got 4 people there, the guy's handcuffed behind his back, even if he took off running, he's not going to go very far. You know what I'm saying? Once he hits a gate, it's like, all right, you know, how's he going to get over the gate? You know, so
yeah,
I thought that was brutal to watch. And then seeing the retaliatory, you know, riots and protests. Obviously, I'm all for the protests. Obviously, anytime you see rioting, you feel a part of you, in my opinion, borderline takes away from the message. But at the same time, I think it was an outcry of everyone's emotion at the time. And you want, and not necessarily the people who were stealing stuff, but the people who were breaking stuff. To
yeah,
me, it looked more like an outlet of like emotion against the system that is oppressing you, more
yeah,
than it was any type of like just people just trying to break stuff to break stuff. It looked like
yeah,
an outcry. So no, I'm all for Black Lives Matter and the
yeah,
whole Black Lives Matter movement. Obviously, my dad's black, my mom's white. I grew up in Garfield, which is a pretty mixed town in general. But obviously, I've grew up with every nation and creed type person, and still close with everybody. And
yeah,
it does suck. It does suck, because I know police officers. I know black and white police officers, and I'm sure that some do on their job. I know them as from high school and college, but it's sad that, you know, someone who's a police officer who gets into policing to do a good job potentially feels the kind of way, or could be attacked potentially because he might be looked at as one of these other guys, you know.
yeah,
But at the same time, obviously, systemic racism is a real thing. It's much more difficult as an African American or black guy or girl, man or woman, to come up. It's harder. It's harder. And a lot of times everyone says, all right, whether you know, sports or entertainment. And, you know, I don't want to say, part of me wishes I was a lawyer, which is why I could golf, but I was actually part of the sports side. And you just got to use a platform you have to reach out to others, having conversations, even with guys at the country club, you know what I'm saying? Like, and taking a stand. And I think a lot of times it's easy to take a stand in the inner city, but it's harder to take a stand at your local country club. It's harder to take a stand in those
type of environment.
surroundings and environments, you know? And that's the one thing that I'm making a promise to myself of is, and I don't see blatant racism at all, you know what I'm saying? But taking a stand on my opinion whenever asked, hey, what do you think about this? Giving my real opinion and not trying to, you know, play the 50 and, you know, be confrontational or non-direct, you know?
Yeah. So for you being in NFL, and you can obviously tell that the NFL is mostly, you know, is and not mostly, well, all white owners. Have you ever experienced any of racism while playing, or not specifically to you, but to other players and stuff like that? Because, you know,
I haven't experienced or seen like blatant racism. I think one of the things that you always get caught up in is because I was in the scouting department, right, in Dallas for 2 years, and even when you're coaching, you're borderline scouting because you got drafts coming up, and just how you describe players. Oh, you know, this guy is I'm trying to think of like terms that are used. You know, it's a try hard guy. This is you know, anytime there's like a white slot receiver, you know, he's a crafty, smart. You know, he knows. You know, there's like small
yeah,
little like words, but then someone else, you don't hear similar descriptions. You know, I feel like a lot of times those descriptions fall in line with race most of the time. I feel like the other thing in sports is interesting is like I feel like sports in general, sports media, and the
Yeah,
country love the idea of like white skill position players. You know what I'm saying? Like whenever like there's like a white skill position player doing it really well, I feel like it's easier for that guy to get branding or whatever, any type of deal, you know, different things like that. It's easier for some of those guys. But at the same time, I feel like whenever you're in a locker room, there's so much mixtures of people, poor, rich, white, black, all across the country, family, put together family, completely destroyed families. You know, there's so many commonalities in football. You know, every guy's generally dealing with similar things. You know, you got to get tickets. You got this family member who's asking you for money, and you got this other thing and the other thing.
Yeah.
You know, so there's so much commonality that, to be honest, in a football locker room, it's like one of the closest places I've been to. You know, just like a family of all different races and people. You know, so that's the one thing I think football does bring. You know, different body types, different skill sets, different backgrounds, and everyone has to kind of come together to get the job done. So I think football's special because of that.
Yeah, I definitely experienced that myself being a football player. I feel as though, like, you know, that's where we all band together, white, black, Spanish, whatever color you are. We band together as a family because we go through war together. So, you know, I definitely feel you on that. Do you think the NFL may ever change with, you know, maybe having, you know, because Jay-Z recently got into the, I don't know what happened, but he's a part of the NFL now. Do you ever think there would be ever a black ownership of a team soon, or?
I think at some point, I think a lot of like right now, I feel like everything is a little reactionary. You know, even when I think about The Bachelor, I watch The Bachelor sometimes with my wife. You know, sometimes I watch it by myself. I'm not gonna lie. But
Well, do you have any flashbacks, maybe? From the
no, there's no flashback. No, I forget all that. But so even watching The Bachelor, they just announced that they're having a black bachelor. You know what I'm saying? And in my opinion, yeah, you should have probably had a black bachelor like 10 years ago, whenever you had the show or whatever the case is. And I feel like at times like this, some people are very reactionary and like immediately try to correct the situation to, you know,
make people feel better. Yeah,
smooth things over, you know. But yeah, I feel like, in my opinion, yeah, there's going to be some black ownership at some point in the NFL. When will that be? You know, who knows? But yeah, in my opinion, I think times are, as bad as everything seems, times are better than they were. And it seems to me, based on all this going on and everyone's eyes waking up, things will be better. You know, and I think that's kind of, it's going to take a long time before things are like perfect, or it'll never be that, in my opinion. But things are better than obviously they were, and going to get better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely believe it will too.
And
I hope you and your family stay safe.
You
I
too,
know I already told you to tell your mom and dad I say hello. So thank you. And,
great seeing you, man. Happy for you, man. Glad to be on the show anytime, and just keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep pushing and keep grinding.
All right, man. Enjoy your day.
All right, brother. You too.